Drawing on the same lines, we have our next first panel discussion, wherein we will explore enhanced cybersecurity in railways infrastructure as the systems become increasingly vulnerable because of the cyber attacks. In addition, it will also focus on important digital innovations taking place in the railways, like the railway automation, electrification, intelligent traffic systems, and a lot more. So please join me in welcoming on the stage for this panel discussion, Colonel Alok Shankar Pandey, Group General Manager, IT and CISO, Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited. And please give a big round of applause to all the speakers joining us on the stage here. V. Uday Kumar, Deputy Director General, National Informatics Center, Government of India. Asit Kadayan, Deputy Director General, Department of Telecommunications, Government of India. Sankalp Devendra, General Manager, External Projects, O&M, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. Mona Srivastava, Chief Engineer, Indian Railways. Rajneesh K. Srivastava, IRTS, Senior DOM, Northern Railway. Krishnakaanth Rokkedi, Rail Infrastructure, Signaling, Telecommunications, Mobility, Siemens Limited. And MAKP Singh, Visiting Professor, IIT Kanpur, ex-member, Hydro and CISO, Ministry of Power, Government of India. A big welcome of all of you on the stage. Please give a big round of applause. In order to moderate this session, I would like to call on stage Rajneesh Dey, Group Editor, APAC Media.
Thank you. And thanks to all the panelists, and I'm sure they will have a lot of illuminating insights. So primarily we will be focusing on overall digital transformation of railways, what all that entails, with a particular focus on cybersecurity, and a very generic round of question to all the panelists. I would like to start. When we are talking about digital transformation, and we heard in the morning also, many of the presentations talked about that railways, even when we talk about IT, it's not just any IT where a migration happens. The railways is having a huge infrastructure, and the entire migration from legacy systems towards more digital systems entails a lot of complexities, lot of challenges, and the process has huge ramifications. So what I would like to start, and I would request each panelist to one highlight, and you are representing different either railway bodies or different technology bodies which work closely with railways. So my first thing would be, when we are talking about this migration from legacy to digital technologies, each of you, if you can highlight one major aspect of digital transformation that you have been involved in, and one challenge, each of you can highlight one major challenge that has been faced here. I will start with you, Alok, with a particular focus on the cybersecurity part in terms of the improving the security posture of railways and identifying and assessing the potential threats and impact on railway systems. That as an overall aspect of digital transformation, what has been done and one major challenge that you would like to highlight. The mic. Yeah.
So thank you, Rajneesh, for this wonderful question. And before I answer the question, my standard disclaimer: views expressed are personal, do not reflect any way in the organizations that I have served either in the past or present. And railways, cybersecurity in railways was never thought of, to be very honest. Railways was a mechanism of transportation from place A to place B. Certain technological enablers in terms of signaling, electric, and other onboard installations were something which would facilitate the primary objective of transportation. As the digital landscape has changed over the last 2 to 3 decades, you have started using compute, storage, and application to serve the same set of purpose. And it was very wonderfully brought out in the previous presentation by Isha. So there was a total lack of focus of cybersecurity on railways. That's the first thing. The entire orientation of railways was towards safety and integrity. If something happens, nothing wrong should happen. That operations stopping was acceptable, but no accidents were acceptable. Now, with the level of automation that we are talking of today, especially we are talking of connected trains in the distant future, but we are obviously talking of communication-based train control and CTC, central train control, with what we are talking of. Identity becomes very important. Now the systems know, each of the system, last mile system is getting triggered through an authorization that a person has, is vested with an individual. Systems know it through identity, they do not know it through that individual. So once that identity can be compromised using various modes of attacks, vulnerabilities that are available, you can actually trigger a cyber incident leading to a catastrophic impact on the overall economy of the government. And to put things in slight perspective, I'll take 2 examples. Kargil operations 1999, we had about 1,000 dead, 2,000 odd casualties. The Balasore incident that happened recently, you had about 3,000 dead and 5,000 odd casualties. So one such incident which can bring down the economy, and 3 days of train operations suspended on that route. So that is the kind of impact it has on the economy and the ramification of one simple identity compromise. That is what I would want to highlight. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So very critically put, though the example, there's nothing to rejoice about, but it so aptly brought out that one incident, the Balasore incident, and so identity management, what it brings, that's a very critical aspect. So I'll come to the next railway person here, Sankalp. The security is one aspect. I would like you to focus one on the security, also on when we are talking of digital transformation. There's railways or a DMRC for that matter is managing a very complex network infrastructure. This will have your signaling systems, your train control systems, even things like fare collection systems, smart ticketing, all these things are, so one, that leaves scope for vulnerability and compromises happening, and 2, even for smooth operation. Couple of things. One, I would like, what you would like to highlight in terms of digital transformation, one aspect, and one major challenge that you faced.
Thank you. So, any metro rail system is a very complex system, as you have told, sir. There are many systems involved which needs to integrate and coordinate with each other, like signaling systems, telecommunication systems, electrical maintenance system, traction system, then there is a fare collection system. So all these combined gives the output that metro rail is running very efficiently. So if there are any challenges on this system, how to cope up that challenge, how to inter-coordinate among these systems. So we have a operational control center, which is centrally monitoring all these systems. It is getting the real-time updates of every data which is being utilized, everything which is happening in the real-time basis. It is being transmitted to the operational control center, and which is the nerve center of Delhi Metro, of any MRTS system. And necessary decisions are taken how to control the movement of trains, how to rectify the systems. There are systems and policies and processes in place. So this is the basis of the functioning of the metro rail system, that it is coordinated and from a centralized location. And as regards the challenges, so but Delhi Metro is also running systems since last 20 years, and we have a legacy system. So technology is continuously upgrading. In old lines, we are having automatic train supervision, automatic train protection system, but in the new lines, there is a UTO system, Goa F4, wherein the trains are run without the train operator. It can be run without the train operator. So the challenge which we are facing is mainly on the old lines, that how to upgrade the system. How to upgrade the system within, because we are operating, we are carrying lakhs of passengers. So how to upgrade, because we are getting the window of only 3 to 4 hours in the night. So if there is a patch in the software, if something has to be developed and some ATS system has to be upgraded, then we have to revert that system in the night hours. Then again we have to operate the metro in the morning with the same software, and in the night hours only we have to do whatever modifications we have to do. So there is a very limited window, and it leads to the increase in the time to implement such new systems. So this is the challenge.
Okay. So basically when it's a migration as and when new gen technologies are being deployed and migrations, you mentioned about autonomous driving and so that's the biggest challenge in the migration part. Continuing with the railways, I'll come to you, Mona. Mona Srivastava, in terms of this complex network infrastructure and when you were planning migration, there are things like trains are now GPS enabled to provide live tracking. There are connectivity systems like LTE and radio fields which are, so when more new such technologies are being used, we heard about Gen AI deployment in the morning. This digital transformation, what were the key challenges that you faced, and you would like to highlight any aspect where the transformation happened very successfully?
It's a very valid question for a mammoth organization like Indian Railways. As you mentioned, yes, we have a legacy, and since we have a legacy and a long legacy, so it was very tough for us to migrate to this Novo system, which is completely digitized. But this was very important for railways, and we took this challenge, as you mentioned, in all arenas, right from the passenger interface. I would talk of it first, because we are a service provider, and our first, I would say, the bread and butter is catering to our passengers. So on the passenger interface, we came up with our Rail Cloud AI, and we are using GPS for tracking. We have developed numerous apps which are doing excellent job, like Rail Mitra, which have a complex kind of a logic combination of software and AI, GPS based primarily. So these are all passenger interfaces. Now, the prime challenge on any interface, and I would come down to, again, talking of passengers, we've come up with the Amrit stations, which are quite automated in all facets in terms of providing a seamless travel to the passengers. Then rolling stock also we have improvised widely, as in from ICF we have moved to LHP, and likewise we have come up with bio toilets. The same is true for track. We have kind of raised the speed of 1/5 of our track structure to 130 kmph, which is being treated as high speed in India. And another 50% of the track has been raised to 110 kmph. Now, as you mentioned, in all these facets, the moment you digitize, you move from manual to a mechanized or an automated mechanism, which is software based. It gets very difficult to get your staff adapt to it, because as we are moving in these arena, internally also, all our tendering, all our billing, all our contractual obligations, everything has become online, I would say, the bare minimum I'm come to think of. So this transition for staff has been very difficult, and we have been having agencies for hand-holding, but there is a phase, this is kind of a transitory phase, because the pace of digitization is very high vis-a-vis the kind of progress that we are getting on this front from our internal customers, I mean the employees.
Thank you. So the focus on the passenger information system, and that's a key area. So in fact, I may say the raison d'etre of Indian Railways ultimately, yeah, freight is another part, but passenger information, and for a vast country like India, with so much geographical distances and the population that we have, passenger information becomes a critical system for the entire population. Thanks for highlighting the challenges as we migrate into new facets of passenger information system. Rajneesh, I'll come to you next. Again, the same question. As you plan the migration from legacy technologies, vis-a-vis digital transformation, what project or area would you like to highlight, and what was the challenge faced?
As far as the migration from the legacy technologies is concerned, I'll take you to the early 2000s, where our controllers used to run trains by physical plotting on the paper.
Okay.
So those were the days where the paperwork, the train would run on the paper. Later on, we shifted to the control office application. That was a digital system wherein we had provided the software to the controllers for digital charting and planning it digitally. And as Indian Railways, we faced a lot of problem because adopting that technology was very difficult for our controllers. But they came up to the challenge. They took this challenge in a positive way, and we now have completely shifted over to digital control office application. Now, again, because the technology is changing fast, and we have to adopt the technologies to do smart operations, because the kind of demand of the passengers, the demand of the more and more trains, be it the passenger trains or the freight trains, is increasing. So now what we have done is that, again, we have introduced the RTIS system, wherein all the locos have been made GPS enabled. So in the control office application, whenever the train crossed a particular station, the station master would tell the controller that this train has crossed my station at say 11:31. So he would physically feed the timing as 11:31, wherein you, as a passenger, you get the information on the NTS app. Now we have gone one step ahead, and the RTIS system, we have integrated the RTIS with our control office application. So in 90% of the cases, what is happening is that the charting is also automated. Okay. So the controller gets more and more time in planning rather than data feeding. One more example I would quote, the station master's job, because with each passing day, the job of the station master is getting more difficult because he has to run more trains on the same tracks. So we thought, how would we automate his job? So, we have a register, a physical register with the station master, wherein he used to feed all the train arrival departures, all the information, etc. on a register which we called TSR. Now what we have done is that, our IT wing Chris, they have done is that, they have introduced ETSR. So wherein the legacy information of the train is already there in the system. The station master has only to feed the arrival and departure of the train. That's it.
Okay.
So what is happening from the legacy systems? We are transforming ourselves and changing ourselves. But again, I would say there are certain challenges because the systems are to be rolled pan-India. Second challenge is that we have to train our staff accordingly. So, but it is a continuous process, and we are doing this.
Okay, thanks. So you have taken us through the evolution of the control system from its manual paper-based days to automation and gradual automation, and now moving even further ahead, and the concurrent challenges that came up. Okay. Next, I would come to Uday Kumar. Now, very important aspect. You are looking after the IT aspect from the whole country's perspective, and how does it impact the railways, the IT system, in terms of collaboration and support to the railway system So what digital transformation of railways vis-a-vis IT you would like to highlight, and one major challenge that you would like to? Sir.
Actually, I have only a outsider view of railways because I'm not involved in railway systems. So anyhow, I'm seeing a lot of transformation in the way they are handling their passenger reservation system, the grievance monitoring inside the train while it is traveling. So they are doing a lot of digital transformation, but basically when you attempt digital transformation, you need to have processes as the lady before us. She spoke about cybersecurity threats and all. So you should be very careful in handling. I'll give you what measures we are taking. Before COVID, there is a phase of before COVID and after COVID. Before COVID, the situation was entirely different. After COVID, the situation is entirely different. People are working from home. Some of your systems may be available to your people. You should have a bring your own device policy. You should secure your systems, because in NIC also we are in government. Actually, when you talk about digital transformation, we talk about three things: people, process and technology, where people is the weakest link. So if somebody brings a small pen drive, he doesn't know some virus is there in that pen drive, it is going to affect your system very badly. You would have heard about many incidents. TCS and SBI Capitals were managing the banking system of cooperative banks. It had a ransomware attack. So unless we are very careful on the people front, actually now in government also we are endpoint security, we are ensuring I cannot even touch the system which is besides me, because all ports, everything has been closed, and all legacy systems are being in government are being made, we need to abandon. Windows 11 is the latest system which we are using, and huge investment is required. We are advising all ministries to adopt the latest technologies, latest devices, put endpoint security in place, and monitor it on a regular basis. We have our own network teams located in each of the bhavans which manage, monitor, and at least 30% of my mails are about security. यहाँ पे SSL नहीं हुआ, वहाँ से audit नहीं हुआ, audit has expired. Now we have an audit policy which says that every 6 months you need to audit your systems. I don't know. These are operational system. Technology is changing rapidly. So you need to adopt cyber security as a practice. Now, even in government also we were little lax. We have been improving the systems over a period of time. Making people aware that you cannot bring a pen drive, you cannot copy it, you cannot use your WhatsApp, you cannot use your YouTube on certain systems. These are critical infrastructure, as she was mentioning. So we need to bring lot of awareness in people. If you bring that awareness and bring policies, perhaps I don't know whether railways has its own certain or not. You need to have a certain. It should monitor all the systems, all the softwares. It should give alerts from within your systems.
Okay.
So those are the things which are.
Okay. So primarily focusing on the people front, when cybersecurity as a practice or as a service, people, process and technology, people becomes a critical aspect. We might delve on this a little later. And for railways, a huge organization like railways, the biggest employer in the country where so many people are involved, that becomes even more imperative. Next, Asit, Kadayan, we heard even in your presentation in the morning, now telecom connectivity part in railways is so critical. systems like LTE and radio, or even now the GPS enablement of trains. And connectivity, one, leaves open scope for security vulnerabilities, as well as beyond cybersecurity, as more new technologies come. How are you looking at railways adopting some of these new gen systems, and what was one challenge that you would like to highlight?
I think I don't have a specific experience about the railways in this field, but what may be helpful and for this audience is that when we decide the key performance indicators of the planning of a railway network, we usually consider the speed or a punctuality and the safety as the three aspects, but we miss the aspect which was also mentioned by Thara, the productivity aspect.
True.
So if you are launching a train which is 10 minutes faster, but I am not getting any telecom connectivity in that train, I am not able to utilize that time for my own purposes. So that 10-minute saving is of no use to me. So when we are planning railway networks, why telecom networks and the railway networks cannot be planned together, so that passengers are getting a good connectivity, good experience, and they can utilize their travel time for a productive purposes. Similarly, if you think, if you consider today New Delhi railway stations, about 5 lakh passengers are arriving or departing every day, 5 lakh passengers. But Indian Railways might not be aware from where they are coming, where they are going after they are leaving the New Delhi railway station, because they think that it is not their job. Their job was to bring from one city to the another city. But when you want to solve a citizen's problem, which was the primary focus of Ma'am Thara, that how we can look from the citizen's perspective, telecom mobility data helps to stitch two planners. How the metro will solve the problem or how a Indian railway will solve the problem. So that insights can be shared between these two railways, and they can talk, these two railways can talk in a friendly manner. Similarly, you have a high-speed railway, you have a expressway, but when you see from the perspective of a public transport systems, they look that they are connected on a map, but when you look from a traveler's perspective, they are disconnected, because it is that expressway is only for a private transport, private vehicle, it is not for a public transport. So expressways are not designed to serve a public transport pick-up points or drop points, and they are not providing a connectivity to the rapid rail stations, and they are not connecting to other places. So when you want to see in a holistic manner or in a totality, which was part of the inaugural speech, these two transformations, digital transformations, railways digital transformations and telecom connectivity transformations, they are to be seen together. They are required to be planned together. That should be our takeaway, that how we can plan together.
Great. So you are highlighting the synergy between the railway network and telecom network, specifically, if I may say, from the passenger or citizen perspective. Maybe on a business model perspective, the synergy happened earlier. If you take the RailTel example, where they developed a commercial business model. In fact, RailTel became a commercial telecom service provider themselves. But that's more happened, that business model on the commercial front. Maybe on the passenger front, yes, we definitely should look at it. MAKP Singh, I'll come to you next on the cybersecurity aspect. This modernization of legacy systems in railways, how does that improve the cybersecurity posture and what are the challenges that you...
Basically, I'm not from... Hello. Basically, I am not from railways, I am from power sector. So, we also have in power sector legacy systems. Legacy systems, they were in the OT system since last so many years, and it's very difficult to phase out those legacy systems, even though they are, we know that they are not having cybersecurity capabilities. So similarly in the railways, there may be more and more legacy system, as I am hearing since morning, but it is very difficult to phase out because of the cost implication. And other aspect is the associated hardware that we need to change with this changing of the legacy system, because the new system may not be compatible. It may require upgradation of the software also, firmware also, and we have to change the test the architectural change. So there are many challenges. Simply saying that we will replace this part will not help, because it requires many additional tests to be done for the hardened posture. So the best thing that we adopted in our power sector is that if you cannot replace it, then you have to see what hardening measures you have to implement, so that you at least, if not it is safe and secure, it is not vulnerable to the latest attack type. So that we have to identify, and this thing we have to incorporate in our cyber crisis management plan, because we have to see that nothing on account of this legacy system, a crisis should develop. Because if a crisis should develop, we will not be able to do much, because they are already very vulnerable. And in case of any vulnerability creeping, because of this, the hackers may travel from these systems to another critical systems like track allocation system, which is more critical for the railways. Like Balasore incident, can we think it was a cyber attack? If it was a cyber attack, how it could have happened, or how it could have been prevented? I was just reading a newspaper that by inserting a rupee coin in the track where the track is joint, actually, they can manipulate the signaling systems also. So how vulnerable it is actually. Like in power sector, a simple guy could manipulate our entire distribution in the society by just mere changing some code. And you must have heard London traffic attack actually. A 17-year-old bird compromised the entire system, where the smart cards were depleted, and howsoever money you put in, that gets instantly debited. So that sort of systems that need to be actually improved upon with more thought process. That's all from my side, sir.
Thanks. So before I come to you, Krishnakaanth, I think Alok has something to add.
I think I'll add on two accounts. One is on telecom and second is on the OT. So traditionally what has happened is legacy or OT, what we call, has a lifespan of about 20 to 40 years. Competing technologies, it was actually ICS, instrumentation control was what was the word which was used for OT traditionally. So one vertical is ICS. Then you have the telecom technologies, which is generations which are coming. So OT 20 to 40 years, telecom technologies, one generation, a decade at generation. And then you have IT, which has in a decade 2 generations. So 5 to 7 years. So IT has evolved independently, telecom has evolved independently, and instrumentation control has evolved independently. All three of them evolving independently have different life cycles. There is probably a case where you try and say, for planners, whenever they're planning for next adoption of technology or migration to next or digital transformation, there's probably a case where you say, okay, let me synchronize where the least common multiple comes. So for IT, telecom and OT, maybe 20 years. So today we have Leo constellation available in the sky today, which is being offered for commercial offering, a 6th generation 6G coming up. So probably digital transformation of railways should now be based on exploiting 6G, LEOs, and business process engineering around that. You don't need an NTES, you don't need a GPS-enabled train at all the time. You have connected trains. The block system permits one train to be in one block at a time. You can have probably a moving block system when you're talking of connected trains. These have been evaluated on smaller countries with greater reliability. India being a big country, 70,000 kilometers is what we are talking of. If we don't start experimenting today in smaller packets and say that we'll transform the whole, with every passing year, the network is increasing. You can't transform a much larger network compared to a smaller. So you start doing this transformation at those points of least common multiple factors where you get of convergence of these technology life cycles. That is where you can probably do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, yes.
Just I would like to add what you said. I would supplement that wherever the greenfield train tracks are being laid, at least those systems we can introduce those systems in the greenfield areas, and later on we gradually shift to the newer technologies in the brownfield areas.
Absolutely. So looking for certainty, we are still looking at 4G LTE. When 5G is already on the block and 6G is coming, we are trying to go to 4G LTE. By the time you put 4G LTE, the technology will be obsolete. You will not have the bandwidth, you will not have the spectrum, and you will not have the equipment to support it. So that is what. Sorry.
True. One excellent area of challenge and excellent analogy you gave, that the IT, telecom and OT had all their different life cycles and managing that synergy. So good fodder for you, Krishnakaanth, now. So you have heard the challenges from railways and from the concurrent areas, IT, telecom, power, who are impacting railways. So some of these challenges as a third-party solution providers, I know there can't be one solution, everything, but fundamental, what would be your advice and best practices that you would recommend?
Yeah, sure. So today we have heard about the different critical challenges like the legacy products and the increasing digitalization, the IT, OT complex, as well as the increasing risk of cybersecurity. So we all know the fact that digitalization will benefit all the mobility stakeholders, but it also brings but it also create a holistic approach and also the best protection system to be deployed in this complex IT/OT environment, basically. Okay, so Siemens is enhancing the cybersecurity, and we are bringing the best practices which is followed globally. We are focusing on, like currently in Indian Railways, we are focusing on the collaborating efforts, and as well as the deploying the customer requirement architectures. So I can give some examples like the tailoring of the security infrastructure. So we understand the legacy products, and based on the legacy products, we know based on the Indian Railway context, we create and we design the architecture jointly with the Indian Railways, so that it can, because we have a portfolio of the cybersecurity of the various products, where we can retrofit our products into that legacy product, so that it can create a proper IT/OT convergence, basically.
Okay.
And the last I would like to also mention here is the collaborative efforts. Along working with the Indian Railways, we are also partnering with the industrial players. Like for example, we have recently deployed a cybersecurity solution in one of the station, Mirzapur in DFCC, where we were able to monitor the real-time data analysis through our secured solutions, basically. So with this, it will we were able to deliver whatever the solutions which we have, the digital portfolio. Like for example, DFCC is having around 400 kilometer we have a sections, and I want to show all the signaling assets for the predictive maintenance or generating an alarm to the railway. So everything can be come into a single dashboard. But what about the cybersecurity? So we have a solutions, and we have did the first POC project also, where these dashboards were shown to the railways by securing the data by using our next generation and the state-of-art technology solutions.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Mona, I'll come to you. You focused on passenger information system, and this is a very critical aspect. We have, see, the GPS enablement of railways was one, and live tracking, that is also advancing, and we have different system, passenger information, will involve even your ticketing and fare collection. Someone mentioned about the Delhi station, keeping track of passengers. So what are the developments that you would like to highlight, 2 or 3 key developments which are already currently happening on the anvil vis-a-vis passenger information systems are concerned?
You see, as far as the passenger information system is concerned, as everybody is aware, as a regular rail user or as a common passenger, we are exhaustively right now using Rail Cloud. It's a cloud-based computing mechanism for our database for all kind of passenger services, also for monitoring, also for spotting, also for our fleet planning in some locations. We are also using AI. Like for some of the elephant corridors, we have developed a very special AI-based software called Gajaraj, which even prevents, collisions with the elephants over the railway track, which was a very serious issue. Yes. And the safety was endangered for passengers over those routes, if you come to think of it, indirectly. Now, besides that, we are also using a lot of other IT facets. And if you know, right now, we have done, I would say, astronomical advancement as far as public grievances are concerned. We have round-the-clock monitoring as well as,
the Rail Madad.
The Rail Madad, yes. Likewise, Spot Your Train, if you come to think of it, it immediately helps you to plan your entire journey. As to how delayed the train is, where exactly your train is, and whether you want to switch over to some other train because of this train getting delayed. So these are some of the common man facets, like you have food on train. The IRCTC is providing exhaustive passenger-related services with the help of CRIS, which is our information processing or developing end. So both of them together are completely on one job, that is to meet everything for the passenger right from the entry into the station. And as Sir mentioned right now, in railways it's not that we just allow the passengers to travel or use train stations just for traveling. We are monitoring all of their data now. We are trying to kind of acclimatize, or I would say with the kind of collaborate with the other entry and exit vendors to facilitate our commuters in the best possible way.
Okay,
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Uday Kumar, I'll come to you next. You highlighted on the people part. So I'd like to again, for a large government infrastructure or organization like railways, where the people, so this people aspect, what would be your future recommendation in terms of not just increasing awareness, but doing the actual monitoring? Yes, awareness increase is one thing, but whether even after becoming aware, those practices are being followed, what would you recommend for that?
That's what I was mentioning about certain kind of a infrastructure which you have internally. All your IT systems should be monitored on a regular basis, because it's a changing world. Even the underlying technology, you may be using open source, you may be using closed source. Vulnerabilities keep happening on a day in and day out basis. Zero trust is the norm now. You cannot trust your system. We used to develop a system and used to say that I trust this system. Now it is not the case. Now the case is zero trust. Don't trust anybody. You trust the identity, even that identity for that particular time, whether he is available or not. In that scenario, you need to have your internal mechanisms, strengthen your internal mechanisms, monitor your internal systems, how they are connected, even the IoT and your cameras and all. They will also have some vulnerabilities. Like in one of the recent conferences I was talking to STQC guys, they say that some Chinese cameras have a lot of vulnerabilities. They are now testing and they are saying that these should be phased out. So you need to have a look at your IoT systems. You need to have look at different systems being adopted, where internals of that system you need to study and you need to bring your own, while procurement also you need to bring certain norms. RDSO may take and they may evaluate systems and they will say that these systems have these vulnerabilities and they should not be procured.
Okay.
So that kind of a thing. And one more aspect I would like to just add, which I think, I am a geospatial expert. So geospatial policy is transforming India. I'm sure that railways should adopt the new things like as part of Swamitva scheme, we have set up, the Survey of India has set up a CORS network which gives you accurate, up to 5 centimeter accuracy you can get accuracies. So you can use all these new technologies in transforming digital processes in railways. Thank you.
Thanks. So one recommendation was for a certain kind of organization in railways and also on the network front. Alok, I'd like you to highlight one part, since many railway bodies and some of these transformation will not be possible if you don't work with third-party solution providers, like Siemens is here, and there are, so working with third-party solution providers in terms of the SLAs or the conformance to those, how, because these are not just one organization, they are, I'll say, very citizen-centric organization, and that vulnerability scope. So how do you ensure those compliances? And also, briefly, if you can mention one future transformation which you foresee.
So, yeah, I'll leverage my disclaimer here. Views expressed are personal.
Sure.
OT is a stranglehold of select OEMs in each of the layers of operation of railways.
Okay.
And since it is a stranglehold, the question of SLAs doesn't arise.
Okay.
It is always a best effort basis. Now, so what I would want to propose is, and there has been a lot of democratization going on, railways investing in certain R&D of its own to migrate towards open source. You have a very good startup ecosystem available. Anything and everything that is being provided by these OEMs is not rocket science. It's only time tested. So if it is time tested, if the technology at every level is available in open source, integration into a closed loop proprietary technology is something that railways can look at bursting. That will provide you integration across various OEMs in each layer at a substantially reduced cost of operations, and also enforcing SLAs. There is also one more thing where I leverage my disclaimer, is that there has to be coherence between one business vertical of the same OEM vis-a-vis second business vertical of the same OEM. What I mean to say is we just heard of SL standards over here, whereas the business vertical which actually lays out the whole thing talks of SIL standards. So there has to be coherence. You can't be selling SIL standards on one side when you're rolling out the network and then saying you need SL standards. So those are the two kind of coherence that is required very essentially. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That's a very pertinent point that you mentioned. Asit, again, one future recommendation, especially from a railways perspective, that you would like to give on the connectivity front.
I think we need to collaborate in a number of areas, and good connectivity, seamless connectivity across the corridors is important part. But we can help to understand in a better way the needs of the people. And we have a door-to-door mobility understanding. It's not a station-to-station mobility, door-to-door mobility. And that is very important for multimodal transport system planning or integrated planning approach. So telco helps in stitching these disparate areas or areas controlled by different administrations. So how that can be done. And with the utilization of mobile edge computing and augmented reality, the privacy is not limited to the consent piece. You can come up with an architecture which are technology-inspired regulations, and you can unlock the intelligence hidden in the data which was not achievable so far. And you can utilize that for a better decision making that can be done. So in that area, railways and telecom need to work together and have a better decision making systems in place.
So improving the decision making systems. Rajneesh, your future recommendation in at least one or two important areas where?
As far as the future is concerned, what I see in operations, it has to be predictive. Right now, we have to dig a lot deeper to find the problems that are there, and we have to do a lot of manual analysis. What I see future use of more AI in the operations, so that the AI prompts me what problems are to be solved. That will in a way help us to run more trains, number one. Number two, as Asit said, that we need to have end-to-end solution for our customers. When I say customers, these are the passengers as well as the freight customers. So when they log into a system of railways, they need to get a end-to-end solution. We are coming up with one super app, and it is into beta testing phase. So what I see, the future of that super app is that, because this is the phase 1. So after taking the, say after 1 or 2 years later, what I see the future of super app is that it should be able to solve the problems of the passengers, our customers, and their experience should be seamless. That's
okay. Thank you. Sankalp, very briefly, because you have a presentation also, but very briefly from a metro railway perspective, major future action which is there in the roadmap.
See, we are serving the general public. So we have to step into the shoes of the commuters, what commuters want. Right from his home to destination, whether it is a first mile, last mile connectivity, seamless integration at stations between the local bus service or Delhi Metro MRTS service or Ola Uber operators. This has to be seamless with one payment mode, so that passengers get end-to-end solution. Then when passengers come to the metro station, what are the bottlenecks, where are he is first stopped at the security check-in, what can be done for it, and then it comes to the AFC gate. Can it be seamless? Can AFC gate be removed like our MD said? Then what are the failures in the rolling stock? Because once the failures comes, then the train services are hampered and lakhs of passengers are stranded. So predictive maintenance can be used so that we can judge the failures well before in advance. We can know that such and such failure is about to come 8 to 10 hours before we can know, so that we can take corrective action and prevent that failures. So we can work, and we are working on that direction for the predictive maintenance and rolling stock, signaling, telecommunication and other fields. So how to step into the shoes and judge what can be done, what can be happen, and to take the preventive action on that.
So the predictive maintenance part becomes critical. MAKP Singh, future one thing that you would like to highlight?
Supply chain risk is the major risk that needs to be addressed in total when we are designing our security posture. So for that, I would like to suggest that, like, Department of Telecommunication has come up with the trusted source scheme, and Ministry of Power on the same parallel lines are also working the trusted scheme. So railways should also come out with the trusted scheme where they have to evaluate all their vendors and suppliers and even the AMC providers, so that we need to have some trust in whatever we are going to implement in our system. Further, we had also worked out on model contractual clauses, because we need to bind the OEMs to provide the supply all throughout, services all throughout the life of the systems that they have deployed, and keep us aware of all the vulnerabilities that are being exploited in the deployed products, not in their recent ones, but the previously also known and unknown vulnerabilities. Because most of the time we are finding that the OEMs, they are not providing support for the entire life, they are providing support for the contract period only. So through these model contractual clauses, we want to bind them. So two things that I would suggest is, one, to have trusted vendor scheme, and other is model contractual clauses that needs to be well tailored to ensure the security.
Okay, thank you. Krishnakaanth, you have the last word here, the future.
So, first I would like to mention that Siemens is in the real innovation from past 150 years globally, and it has been working with the advanced networks, and in Indian Railways is 7 decades. So, what I understood, like in the digital transformation, we have all the solutions, and for the cybersecurity also. The recommendation for me, like the first part is the digital, making the signaling asserts data. The main thing, the analysis part is the data. So let us make more signaling asserts data into a digital world, so that, for example, like I have a failure, okay, and you should have such kind of a digital transformation of my signaling gas, where a maintainer can understand what is a failure and what exactly he has to do. So in that part, the more digital should be there for all the existing signaling infrastructure. And the second part is the recommendation for me is the cybersecurity, where there should be some kind of policies or some kind of guidelines to be issued, and where Siemens can also guide in that process, where there will be a single umbrella of the policies where we can have a cyber secured digital solution in Indian Railways.
Okay, thank you. Before we disperse, we will have before our next fireside chat, we will have a short presentation from Sankalp on DMRC. But before that, I would like to call on stage Gopi Krishna Arora, co-founder of APAC Media, to hand over a token of appreciation to all our panelists. Can we have Gopi here? Yeah. So I would like to call on stage for the token of appreciation. Let's start with Mona Srivastava. Can we have the tokens here? Mona Srivastava. Uday Kumar. Alok Shankar Pandey. Rajneesh Srivastava. Sankalp Devendra. Krishnakaanth Rokkedi. MAKP Singh. Can I request all of you to join for a group photo?